Time out there.
Yes.
Okay, so I tried to get it right there. Everybody help me photograph. If I didn't quite, I am sorry. Who drank the glacier water? Alrighty, new recruits, Antoine. So yes, our recruitment process is that we bring everyone out here, feed you glacier water. Some 36 hours later, turn insane, and then when we offer you a job, you accept gratefully. No, like I said, I find this place just through word of mouth, and yeah, I've never looked back. A wonderful place to call home. Alrighty. So in terms of drinking that glacier water, very hard to test it. I did myself. So the way I did, I was speaking to a couple on the glacier. I did a hike up Kinney Lake in Mount Robson. And you'll meet to Mount Robson? Yeah, beautiful spot. If you do get a chance, do go there. Those that haven't. I did the Kinney Lake hike and ran out of water, so started to drink a lot of the water, well, some of the water from the lake, looked clear as anything. And then after a while, started to get ill. And sure enough, left the water bottle with some left in there that evening, and little black spots have emerged in that bottle. Now, that made me think, well, I should try the same with the glacier water. So I filled up a bottle of glacier water, did the same, and yeah, the bottle's still in my room, still as clear as the day that I got it. So that's about the best way I can test it. Yeah, I can testify. It's made me as young as I look, everybody. Like I said, 98 years old, the real Prince Philip. Just living this life and drinking the glacier water that makes you look this young. So you might see that some of this meltwater is following a path on our right-hand side, channeling through, and it is going to create what we call a mill well, everybody. So as I cruise down here, I'm going to very slowly creep by one of the wonderful features we have on our glacier. So I will go slow enough. If you're on the left-hand side of the bus, behind me, you'll need to stand up and look over to the right. If you're on the right-hand side, if you can remain seated to allow everybody else to see. And it's on the right-hand side just now, at 3 o'clock to me. So everyone behind me, if you take a little stand. And remain standing, because if you didn't quite see that one, you'll see the next one, everybody. Because if you didn't like that mill well, well, what about this mill well? Everybody getting a little look at that? So, yeah. That's a mill well, M-I-L-L-W-E-L-L. And that is just created by water. Ever going to look at that? Who wants to go down and see how deep it is? Volunteers? No? Are all the kids behaving back there? No! We don't need to put any in there. That's the jail, everybody. So luckily, yeah, we don't have to go down there. Parks Canada went down there last year. They would come out in crews of around 6 of them, and they set up this huge apparatus to get down there. So they had a vast amount of equipment, set up a huge frame and harness work to get down into there, to let us know if it went underneath our road. Unfortunately, it does not, so we can use this for another year. Now, you saw the water going in there, right? So it is water that creates those mill wells. What happens is it follows the path of least resistance along the surface of the glacier, and then finds resistance. If you look to the left-hand side, or the right, anywhere in fact, you'll see just how undulating this glacier is. Lots of little divots. And in these areas, the water gets blocked, starts to whirlpool, and as it does so, it will start to erode the ice. Now, you saw the size of that huge mill well, right? Would anybody like to guess how long it took to create that very big one? Are we thinking 100 years? 1,000 years? Hundreds of years? Anyone thinking less than 100 years? 20? 2 years? Yeah, getting closer. Anyone thinking 1 summer?
1 summer.
1 summer. Yes, 1 summer. It only took to create that. It just shows you the power of water. And yeah, it's just staggering that it can do something like that. So yeah, you might have heard about the other... Okay, the other bus is kindly waiting for us. We'll go, everybody. You might have heard about the other dangers out here. Ever heard of crevasses? So if you've heard about crevasses, you'll know that they are the more common danger on glaciers. And these are created by the glacier's movements. So the glacier moves at different speeds in different areas, and this causes stress fractures. So the reason it moves at different speeds in different areas is it meets friction. So you might see again on the right-hand side, I told you on the way up about that idea of the ice core moraine. As it's covered in these vast layers of rock, weighed down by it and meeting friction from the sides of the mountains, moving much slower than the bulk of the glacier, which can move around a centimetre a day, which is fast in glacial terms. Certainly some days I don't move more than a centimetre a day. My mum's not here to tell me off about that these days, yes. So yeah, this difference in speed is what causes those stress fractures to crack, open up over time. And has anyone ever heard a glacier moving? Or maybe been to Alaska and heard those ones? So I have, I've been lucky enough to hear this glacier moving. It was around a month and a half ago now. Paige was the first, she was up here setting up our boundary area. I was the very first tour up. So Paige came rushing over, ushered me across. I said, Phil, quick, quick. So I thought something had gone wrong, so I went running over. Then she told me, Phil, shh, 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 which is not uncommon for someone to tell me to do. So I was quiet and indeed was rewarded with hearing a crevasse opening. So to describe it to you, it sounded very much like it was like a 3 or 4 second creaking and then a very sudden crack. You know when you put a piece of ice into water or whiskey, it's better, and you get that very sudden crack? But that is what it sounded like, and I'll be very honest, it sent shivers down me to remember that, yeah, this is a moving body of ice, defining it as a glacier, and changing all the time. It is why these walking tours that we do see do take every precaution imaginable. So you'll see them stopping at various points. Now, did anyone see anyone further up on the glacier, or did anyone maybe see some operators further up on the glacier? A little weather station, that would have been if you saw that. Did anyone see that? That's placed there by the University of Saskatchewan. So because of its accessibility, this is one of the most studied glaciers in the world. Now I'm going to unravel the mystery for you now, everybody. The mystery of the blue ice. You want to know, right?
Yes.
Have I left you in suspense long enough?
Yes.
Should I leave you any more? No? Okay. So it's due to the way that the ice is formed. So I mentioned that the ice field is this vast basin-like area sitting between 11 of the highest peaks, the zone of accumulation, and a lot of snow builds up there. So we have around 7 meters, just over 23 feet of accumulative snowfall. And this vast amount of snowfall that builds up in these areas has genuine mass. You can imagine clearing your driveway of that much snow. It's going to be heavy, right? And it starts to weigh down on the snow underneath. It's a process called fernification. Now, fernification can take 2 to 5 years to take place. And after it's gone through this, the immense weight of the snow means that it squeezes all the air out, and the snow has gone from being 90% air to becoming less than 10% air. So very, very thick, very dense glacial ice, and becomes a prism. Now, has anyone seen Pink Floyd's album cover, Dark Side of the Moon? Yeah, I'm judging you here. I was named Phil after Phil Collins and raised on the classics. So if you've seen that album cover, you've seen that light is refracted through a prism. And as it's refracted through the other side, it's split up into the colours of the spectrum. Now, because our ice is so dense, it's very hard for those colours to pass through and reach our eyes. The only one that can is the one that travels the shortest distance, shortest wavelength in colour, and that is blue. So, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. If not, just tell everybody your bus driver's eyes reflect off the glacier. Yeah. Say it with conviction, they'll believe it. To give you some perspective on that, the ice in your freezer will be around 40 to 50% air, and our ice is, less than 10%. I watched a documentary in the UK a few years ago. Anyone heard the phrase, not a snowball in hell's chance?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, someone wanted to test this theory and see how long a snowball would last in hell. So someone made one with their hands, put it in a 1,000 centigrade oven, and it lasted 32 seconds, which is longer than most thought. They then used a machine to compress the snow, compact it, much like this fernification process. And it lasted over 5 minutes in this 1,000 centigrade oven. It just shows you it's down to that density and how much oxygen's in there. Which is why our glacier does melt at a much slower rate. Alright, we're going to make it, everybody. Did it look steeper from the bottom or the top? Probably should have asked. On the top? It's because you trust me now, right? Okay, so as I do get to the top here, we're going to wave goodbye to 540, wave it goodbye again, Antoine. I see a tear in your eye. Goodbye, 540. And as I disengage my six-wheel drive, if you take a little peek to your left-hand side, we'll give this gentleman a wave as well. And you'll see standing to our stone figure. It's called an Anukshuk, and it's there to give good welcome, good blessing, just before we go down the steep part, of course. Now, if you keep looking to the left, at around 9 o'clock, you can everyone see the patch of snow on the mountain over there? What does it look like to you? It's like a lizard or a gecko, right? So it comes back every year. Every year. I was here last year and it was there as well. So of course it will slowly start to lose its space, its shape, and will become a snake. And then it'll disappear entirely. And then it'll be history. I thought I'd risk another one. Sorry, everybody. That's terrible. And it's down there that the skywalk is situated, everybody. You'll be taken from here down there. Just built a little bit out of the way to protect you from the winds that we get down here. Now, speaking of history, my wonderful pun, I'm going to talk about a little bit of the history of this place. So, the first documented discovery of the Columbia icefield occurred in 1898, August 18th. There were a party of 5. There was a botanist from the UK named Norman Collie. He came out here with his party. And they were looking for 2 fabled mountains, Mount Hooker and Mount Brown. And they were fabled because they were supposedly Himalayan in size. They couldn't find them, so on August 18th they summited Mount Athabasca to use it as a vantage point. Never found these 2 mountains because they didn't exist, but did find the Columbia icefield. Now, ever since then, tours have been going on through here. In the early 1900s, a lot of horseback tours through the area. And then the first motorized tours went on in the 1940s to coincide with the first road being built in 1939. Now those first tours were a little bit different to this. I don't know if their bus drivers sang. The encore is coming, everybody. I can see the tension. You're waiting for it. Antoine's waiting for it. I see. He's my biggest fan. Yes, they use these little buggies back then. They were called a Bombardier, based on a Ford Model Type A. Looked a bit like a Volkswagen Beetle. They had army-style tracks on the back, little ski blades on the front, and a big V8 in the back. This meant they were very heavy on the back end, very light at the front, and the bus drivers knew they could take advantage of this. So I've seen the photographs of this. They would drive towards a crevasse, put all 13 passengers right at the back of the bus, and then drive the front over a crevasse. You would then one by one come forward and open the door and have a little look inside. And yeah, it looks absolutely insane. But of course, different ideas of health and safety back there, hey everyone? Although I haven't read our policy, I'm sure Antoine will tell it me, but maybe we could go back and try it with the Millwell. What do you think? Yeah? All right, back we go. Other ways this area has been used, a lot of conditional training from the Army. So the American Army, British Army, Canadian Army have all used these areas and left their marks in different ways. In 1942, the American Army got an Army Jeep stuck in Saskatchewan Glacier, the largest of the 6 outlet glaciers from the Columbia icefield. Got it stuck in a crevasse, never got it out. So to this day, it still remains in there, hopefully perfectly preserved with a key in there, and I'll be there to claim it. But chances are it's been crushed under the weight of glacial ice. And then this year, more absolutely staggering discovery on North Face Glacier, which is on the north face of Mount Athabasca, which I will point out very shortly. An undetonated World War II bomb was discovered. It was discovered by a group of hikers. Now, fortunately, they knew what it was and had the foresight to not go poking it and kicking it like I probably would have done. So they came back down, the military was notified, and yeah, they flew out within the space of 30 minutes and yeah, detonated it there and then. Crazy. Crazy the history of this place. Okay, so of course the big question on everybody's lips, you're probably asking why Prince Philip, right? So the reason that's stuck, and it's on my name badge, the reason it's on my name badge is I pestered the gentleman at the back of the bus about it this year, so I'm not coming back unless I have it. But last year people were kind enough to go on TripAdvisor for the Glacier experience and say that they had Prince Philip, the singing bus driver. So yeah, if you do use it, I do love seeing my name pop up. Although, of course, if you didn't enjoy the tour, my name was Antoine. I usually say Sean, but because you're on my bus, Antoine. I'm sure you enjoyed it, right, everyone?
Yeah.
Did anyone have any last questions?